George Russell isn't holding back, sharing surprising views on Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari struggles. Is the former teammate subtly questioning Hamilton's form? The dynamic between them may be shifting more than anyone expected. Let's dive in. George Russell says his relationship with Lewis Hamilton has taken a new turn ever since the seven-time world champion swapped silver for red and joined Ferrari. Now, with Hamilton navigating the challenges of life at Maranello, Russell finds him noticeably more approachable, despite the ongoing frustrations plaguing Ferrari's campaign. When Russell first got the call-up to Mercedes' Formula One team, the challenge ahead was immense. He'd be lining up alongside one of the sport's greatest legends, a driver in the midst of a historic dominant streak. Many might have crumbled under that weight, but not Russell. He rose to the occasion, even outpacing Hamilton across two of their 3 seasons as teammates. Russell also opened up about how things stand now between himself and Hamilton. When asked if their bond had cooled since Hamilton's departure, Russell offered an insightful reply. No, if anything, it's actually become a bit closer. We sometimes fly together and talk to each other more often off the track. Though Russell couldn't quite put his finger on what had shifted, he was quick to point out that he and Hamilton have always shared a good rapport. Lewis is someone whose company I really enjoy, he explained. Of course, he's extremely in the limelight, more than any of us, and sometimes a protective shield goes up. But in an intimate setting, he's someone I get on really well with. It's nice to have someone like him, someone I can ask for advice from time to time, because he's at a completely different stage in his career. He was then asked about the time he outpaced Hamilton during their stint as teammates. I'll leave that to your judgment. I just ride week in, week out. I've always said that I'm not afraid to be anyone's teammate. At the end of 2021, Lewis was the hottest property in the field. Nobody would have thought that anyone at Mercedes could beat him as a teammate. I came in and performed from the first race. I always believed in myself. The reputation he had is the same as Max has now. Nobody believes that Max is beatable, and people thought the same about Lewis back then. People forget that Lewis came into Formula One as a rookie and finished on the podium every time in his first 9 races, with a 2-time world champion as his teammate. That says a lot. But where does Russell rank? Will he be the kind of driver capable of dominating world championships after it has taken him so long to get to a top-level team? Look at Fernando Alonso. He comes in, wins 2 titles in his first 4 years, and people say he's going to get 10, Russell said. He hasn't won a title since. Or Sebastian Vettel. He wins 4, and then no more. If you look at Michael Schumacher, it took him 5 years at Ferrari before he won his first title there. This is now my 4th year at Mercedes, next year will be my 5th. Of course, past performance is no promise of future success. But as Russell sees it, nobody knows when their time will come. You just have to make sure that you keep performing consistently, keep delivering. And what happens then, only time will tell. Another of Hamilton's former teammate has shed light on the 7-time world champion's struggles. Nico Rosberg admits it's been hard to watch, as Lewis Hamilton's rocky start at Ferrari continues to unfold, with the 7-time world champion still searching for answers. In Barcelona, Hamilton crossed the line in 6th after starting 5th, helped by Max Verstappen's grid penalty. He got off to a flying start, jumping ahead of George Russell, but was later ordered to let teammate Charles Leclerc through and lost ground to Russell again during the pit stops. When a late safety car prompted most of the front runners to bolt on soft tyres, Hamilton looked poised to fight back. Instead, he found himself going backwards, ultimately getting overtaken by Nico Hülkenberg's Sauber. So far, a sprint win in China remains one of the few bright spots in an otherwise challenging debut season with the Scuderia. After the Spanish Grand Prix, a dejected Hamilton didn't mince words, calling it his worst outing yet in a Ferrari. No small statement considering the radio debacle in Miami and a lackluster 10th place finish on his debut for the prancing horse. 2016, world champion Nico Rosberg, now a pundit for Sky F1, looked genuinely sympathetic while watching Hamilton's latest struggles. Speaking after the race, he said, "It's hard to watch. Sunday was a horrible day for him because he was just slow out there, which is very unusual. Yes, sometimes he's off in qualifying, but in races he's usually really awesome, and the race was shockingly bad. He doesn't have answers either. Was there damage on the floor? These flaws are so sensitive and there can always be a bit there, and you lose a lot of time. When you don't have any answers, it's really tough as a driver. Then you see your teammate race their way to third place on the podium. In light of the whole season he's had so far, it's a very dark situation. Lewis Hamilton sent shockwaves through the motorsport world last year when he revealed he'd be leaving Mercedes after a legendary 12-year run and 6 world championships with the Brackley team to join Ferrari for the 2025 season. Many believe the move would be the perfect reset for Hamilton, offering a fresh challenge after a frustrating stretch at Mercedes that yielded just 2 victories over 3 seasons. His arrival at Ferrari was also hailed as the missing ingredient in the team's quest to capture their first Drivers' Championship since 2007. But so far, the reality hasn't lived up to the hype. After losing more ground to teammate Charles Leclerc in Spain, where Hamilton now trails Leclerc's 94 points by a significant margin, analyst Karan Chandok says the situation is growing increasingly critical for the 7-time champion. Chandok attributes the growing pressure to Hamilton's inconsistent performances, which he believes underscore the 40-year-old's ongoing struggle to unlock the sweet spot in Ferrari's SF25. It's starting to get a bit critical, he told Sky F1. We're coming into the second third of the season now, and he's not finding the rhythm. He's not finding consistency where week in, week out, he's in a happy place in the car. In Imola, he was woeful in qualifying, then suddenly the car's brilliant in the race. In Monaco, he wasn't quite there. He was a chunk behind Charles throughout. There's got to be a degree of concern creeping in. When you look at Spain, the fact that Charles overtook him and drove away from him quite comfortably, even before we go into the different tyres and stuff later on. If I was on the Lewis side of the garage, I would be concerned. We are nearly at halfway through the year now. We need to start understanding whether this is a fundamental issue, that we need to change the direction of the setup of the car. I'm not disputing that he's still got the ability. He clearly does. He's able to win races, we saw that in China. But they need to find a sweet spot for him, where every weekend he knows what he's got, and they haven't got that. He's still having too many good days and bad days. The fluctuations are too much. As George Russell continues to rise at Mercedes and Hamilton faces one of the toughest chapters of his legendary career at Ferrari, the balance of power in F1 is shifting. Will Lewis find his rhythm? Or is this the start of a new era? Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what happens next.